Welcome everybody to another episode of Buried Pleasures. I'm your hostess, PollyAnnamazing. Thank you for being here this evening. And I have a wonderful bunch of ladies with me today, and I'm so excited. I can't stand it. If you're watching the video, lucky you. If you're not, go find it. I just want to remind you guys that I am a part of Just Some Podcast Media Group featuring Nurse Papa and also the guys from Just Some Podcast. So to kick things off tonight on this wonderful journey, I'm going to start introducing these lovely ladies one by one. Actually, they're going to introduce themselves because I like it better when they do it. So if I could get you, Sunshine Ryan, developer of what we're talking about tonight, which is the amazing gourmet sex. I can't even tell you guys how amazing the content of this is and how lucky I am to be a part of it. So Sunshine, who is also one of my favorite guests always, in case you've missed her on something. Sunshine, hi.
Hi, thank you for having me back. I am Sunshine Ryan, creator and presenter in Gourmet Sex, the Taste of Tantra. I'm also a certified sexologist and a certified freak. We all know that. And
7 days a week. We all know.
sex coach, doula, mom, awesome person. No,
best friend in the whole world. That's what I say.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to Sequita. Can we say hello to you, ma'am?
Well, hey, hello. I'm Sequita Whitfield. I am also a certified authentic Tantra practitioner, certified sexologist, and a licensed spiritual practitioner. So I am eager to be with you. I'm so happy to be invited. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me on this journey with you to Buried Pleasures.
I'm glad to have you. Now, Sequita, it's always a pleasure. You're lovely. You're just lovely. I can't even say enough about you. But let's move on to Lucia.
Yes. Hello.
Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I am Lucia Vasquez. I am also a certified sexologist, an authentic Tantra practitioner, and I do also offer art coaching, and I do also somatic healing body work. And I'm really excited to be here.
Man, if you even knew half the power you guys are seeing right now, it's a scary thing. All right. So my next lovely Saoirse.
Hello. So I'm Saoirse Shadavari or Wong, in the process of changing. We'll see what happens, right? The joy of changing your life. I'm also a certified sexologist, Tantra practitioner, womb yoga teacher, and all sorts of other fun, magical stuff. I do a lot of body work as well. So if you're ever in Canada, I might let you on my table if you're lucky. So yeah, I'm excited to be here too. It's always fun to hang out and see what comes of this mischievous crowd.
Oh, we are a bunch of mischievous ladies, that is for sure. But tonight we have some topics that we want to discuss. And a lot of that will be focused around some of the topics that we may be discussing in Gourmet Sex, a Taste of Tantra, which I hope that you check out. You can always find that at sunshineryan.com/gourmet sex.
Good job.
Thank you. It takes me a minute, guys. There's a lot of names and a lot of things that we're doing. But really, honestly, I want to kick this whole discussion off with, number one, thank you to Sunshine Ryan for putting together a bunch of phenomenal people, and just having the creative mind that we can all, like, she's like our mom. She just hovers over us and takes good care of us and says, these are the ideas that I'm having. Let's work on something else. And every time she brings it, and she brings it with force, and it's amazing. Thank you, Sunshine, for being here, and all these other ladies. But let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the world now. And do you guys, I'm going to just throw this out as a general question. Do you think that people are less interested in sex and intimacy with them, with yourself, versus others because of COVID. Like, so just to simplify that, are you staying at home now, doing some home play with yourself, or are you guys stepping out a little bit and, you know, kind of trying to get back in the swing of things since COVID is the restrictions are lessening? What do you think? Go ahead, Sasha. Yeah,
I'll lean into that one.
Lean on it.
Just lean on. It's interesting. I mean, I come up from, so in Canada, we do have a different perspective from what you guys down below us are. And from what I've been working with and myself personally, COVID really kicked my ass in the sexual realm. Like, I was not wanting to engage with it. I was not, it was the last thing on my mind. The idea of like diddling myself was like just too much for me. And I'd say now that things are, the juices are flowing again. I don't know, like I'm feeling I want to connect with people, and I'm finding the same thing is happening for people. It might be a combination that we're also hitting spring, so naturally those juices are flowing through us, and so we're like, oh, I love seeing, you know, half naked construction men. That makes me happy again. I love seeing, I love seeing all the, you know, half naked women walking around, and they're, you know, it's wonderful. I like seeing the, I mean, I love naked bodies, so it would be great to see more of it. Right. But that is starting to come. But COVID really kicked my ass in the sexual realm. I did not want to connect that way, even with my now ex-partners. Like, we didn't, the jive was not there. It was really quite a dampening for me and for people that I work with too. Yeah.
What about you, Sunshine?
I think it really depends on who you ask. You know, it was great for some couples because it really brought them back together, like, because they had to focus on themselves. So that was great. And for me, I really took my practice like up a notch, but that was solo play. I think casual sex kind of started to fade away a little bit. But then again, it depends on who you talk to. Like, I had a gay friend and he was still fucking everybody. So, you know, like there was no shame in the game. And I was like, okay. So I think COVID really set in a fear factor, which there should already be, like, when you're engaging in sexual activities, there should already be, like, you know, there's HIV and there's other diseases that you can get. And then this kind of added on top of that, right? And so there was a lot of fear and anxiety. I think that it brought up in a lot of people. And so there definitely was a down in like casual sex and hooking up and the whole hookup culture. However, porn went up through the roof, right? So, so that just shows me that people were swanging at home, right? Like,
exactly. Well, self-pleasure activities never hurt anybody. That's right.
Yeah, really good times at home. But that does worry me, however, because I don't want that to be your only influence, right? Like, I feel like that does cause some more disconnect, right? And so we need to like pull people back in, but we'll get into that and I'll let someone answer what their opinion was about COVID.
How about you, Sequita?
Interesting, because luckily I had a partner through all of 2020 and still do, but I didn't have that disconnect from my own libido, my own sexuality. But I talked to friends who were single, who were like starved. You know, if I heard it once, I heard it 1,000 times, like, I'm so horny and I don't have an outlet for it, you know, other than myself. And so for single people, it was kind of tough. And like Sunshine said, some of my friends, either they imploded and their relationship ended, or they found ways to reconnect sexually and intimacy. So it was this one, you know, it was kind of like it was uneven, you know, as far as people experiencing that. I have some statistics when we get into another area about what happened. So yeah, but for me personally,
come back to that for sure.
Yeah, I gotta say, for me, I was just happy that I was just getting some, you know, it was like,
I hear you, girl. Listen, you guys saw my sweet Dr. Dave Kreckman when he popped his head in here before we started. You want to talk about being a lucky girl? I can honestly say
Yeah.
I'm a lucky girl because even during the pandemic, I really, new place. We were in a whole new state.
Yeah.
It was pretty fantastic to have him as my partner. So I can't complain about that part.
Yeah.
But Lucia, do you have anything to chime in?
Yes, I do. Yeah. It definitely hit me in another way or similar way to Saoirse here, where in the beginning, there was so much going on. I wasn't even necessarily having a drive for it. And then I'm in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, California. And so we were off and on with the shutdown and the lockdown.
Yeah.
And so throughout that, when we were, on shutdown modes, the like three times that we were shut down, I took it upon myself to, it was more like an opportunity for me to really dive in deep with myself and connect with myself on another level. And so that's exactly what I did. I started to, explore a lot more with myself, different toys, different touches, different strokes, and just kind of started doing that because I don't have a partner, and there was a lot of fear, with trying to mingle and stuff. It just wasn't. I have a family at home. I'm not really trying to bring this disease in, right? And so, and so just really taking the time to embrace this, my self-care, embrace my pleasure, and it was all kinds of pleasures, right? And so, I believe actually you, sure. So you helped me, remind myself again, of that self-care, and how self-care was something that was very much needed. And I'm definitely been doing a really great job of tackling that topic for myself. What I did see coming from others in my community is a lot of, it was hard, right? It's been hard. A lot of breakups, to be honest. A lot of people breaking up. And that's been marriages to boyfriend and girlfriend, relationships, or having to separate, moving out, from one another to separate homes to get this to work out, because there's been a lot of struggles, right? Having no privacy, right? That's a big one. And the amount of anxiety created in the home for couples, because of a lot of different things, and because the anxiety was so overwhelming, there was a huge disconnection with communication. Yeah. And so that brought upon a lot of the, breakups that I was seeing. A lot of friends, a lot of family members I saw going through this, and a lot of people hit financially, that may not even were in a position of being able to, seek the help, right? If they didn't have coverage, and things like that all come up because now there's, they're being hit financially as well. So it's a whole, it's everything, and that's why we're here, right? That's why we're here as educators, and here, to let, people know that this is just a wonderful time to, as we're starting to come out, and some places are getting better, some places are getting better more than others, but what are some of the things that we can take care of that's going to help us?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from all of you is the basic gist that we lost our ability to feel close to someone based on the fact that we're afraid of our health. Like we were afraid we're going to die. So you can't just roll out to the next bar next door and pick up some random person and feel comfortable enough to, yeah, I see that, Sunshine. That's right. So losing intimacy is kind of a tough thing, right? Like we don't have a whole lot of time in this lifetime, and finding somebody that we click with or connect with can be really powerful. But then what happens when they're gone, right? Sorry. You can click and connect with whomever in a year after you stop wearing masks, and you can like start dating again and see people, not just their eyes. Because let me tell you, sometimes they fool you. You think they have some beautiful eyes, but underneath that mask, it's not the same. So it's that's a joke, guys, just saying. But one of the things that so we lost that ability, right? We lost that ability to feel close. And a lot of what I'm hearing out of you guys is that you also gained some information about yourself, how you can deal with these issues yourself, and how you, Lucia, got close to yourself. And if you haven't ever seen Lucia do one of her videos, I swear to you right now, if you do not come to this gourmet sex class, you're going to miss it. And it's one of the most enthralling and thrilling things that I've seen in a long time. Just saying. But Sunshine, how do we create this balance that we need? How do we do that?
So I would love to talk a little more about
what. Oh yeah, go ahead, please.
And so I like to just this analogy, like, what did I lose in the fire, right?
Yeah, what did you lose?
The fire is everything that happened during COVID, right? And so a lot of people lost so much. But really, it was this wonderful like rebirth and awakening of identity and of self. And so you have to just take that in. And yeah, maybe you lost a lot, right? Like I lost one of my businesses. I lost my really fun nightclub job, right? And I lost that ability to just go out in the world and show my sexuality, right? And
right.
so then there was a loss of safety. Because I wasn't able to provide for myself. And of course, that's going to cause your libido to go down, right? But I am always like, okay, I'm feeling really lost. Why not masturbate? Because that makes me feel in tune with myself and connected. And so I like to use that as a tool to keep me powered and to keep me going. So I did lose a lot of things in the fire, right? I think even more so, I lost my ego. I lost my pride, right? I lost this is not supposed to be happening to me. Like, and then we started to bring it back. Like, oh, like I'm in such a better place now than I was a year ago, but I didn't know that COVID was kind of helping me. I didn't know that. I was so angry at COVID fucking me over. Right. And so I think and the rest of you, if you guys want to share, like, what else did people lose during COVID?
Well, I lost my mind, just so you know. I done lost my mind. Yeah.
You gotta find that.
I know, that's what, but you know what helped me find that is the community that I have with these lovely ladies and our huge Sangha that we have. It has been pretty fantastic, because I know Sunshine said she lost a lot, but also I moved to Washington so I could live really close to Sunshine, and then she moved away from me. So I don't know if you all have ever been in a dark cave, in a dark cave with no sunshine. That's where I've been all year long, trying to make my life happen. But no, just we can do this all day. But Sequita, what do you think you lost during this year?
You know, I looked at the pandemic early on as this pretty gift and an ugly wrapper, you know, because yes, I lost my sense of freedom. You know, I wasn't able to just move about the cabin freely, you know, and I didn't feel like I didn't feel like I lost a lot, because only thing I felt was just that loss of freedom, you know, because I'm an introvert. So being a homebody was really comfortable for me and really okay. But when being told I couldn't leave, then I got angry, and then I got sad. And so I lost my grasp on mental health for a little while. You know, I did go down that depressive, you know, rabbit hole. And like you said, I tapped into Sangha, tapped into, you know, close friends, and was able to reframe how I was looking at this whole COVID and isolation and the distraction of it all. It was so distracting, you know. Got to wear a mask. Oh, I forgot my mask in the car. Got to go walk back to the car, get my mask. You know, it was very distracting. And then not to be able to see, I respond to people's smiles, not alone just their eyes, but their face. So I lost that connection to you, not being able to see, you know, how you were responding to me, you know, and that was sad in a way as well. So I lost that whole, just the being able to read people in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, communicating with our eyes took it on a whole nother level for me. You know, I started to crave that connection just by making eye contact with someone, you know. So that's about what I can say about my own loss. Not, yeah.
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 Saoirse, how about you? Did you lose? What'd you lose?
Oh, I'm very similar to Sequita. When COVID hit, I was kind of, it's horrible to say, I was actually really excited because I thought I could finally rest. So at the beginning, it was like, fuck yes, nobody can do anything. I'm gonna stay home and fucking sleep. So I gained at first this permission to just stay, and that was amazing. And it was also this permission to have an excuse not to have to do a million things because we couldn't, and that was amazing. And then it did start to settle in, very similar to the fact of, oh, but now I have to, right? Like I'm not very good at being told what to do. So when it starts to become a rule, I want to rally. So I had to do a lot of personal check-ins to be like, look, this is going on. This is not against you. It's for you. And it's really teaching so many beautiful lessons of how we connect, who we connect to, who I want to connect to. I learned who I wanted to connect to and who I really don't fucking want to connect to. And I lost my marriage in the COVID. So my marriage ended in this journey. And that's been a really enlightening and good thing. So because it made me sort of really go back to myself and look at where and why that fell apart, and really start to connect to how I want to be in the world, and which then of course how we do one thing is how we do all things. So that started to make me really look at my business and how I want to present and how I want to help and work with people. So that's been completely changing. And so that's been a beautiful process. I like to constantly be learning. So it opened up more places for me to be studying and learning. And I've met people even more people around the world because of this COVID trapped at your home. It's kind of like we got stuck, but it expanded. So that's been a really beautiful gift for me to look at. So, but I still hate wearing the damn masks. As similar to Sequita, I love seeing people's faces are my favorite thing to see, and watching people light up or not light up. It is fascinating though, because I do work at a hat shop just so that I can get out. So when people take their mask down for 30 seconds, you're always kind of shocked to what people really look like nowadays. I don't know about you guys. It's kind of like this, oh, I did not expect a facial hair or a knot. Like so it's been a new way of looking at human beings. It's kind of like I wonder what's under there now kind of thing. So it's changed a lot of things in a really positive way for myself. But I really want to get back into the world. I really want to go and hug everybody, and I really want to touch everybody again. And I want to be able to move freely in the world. Yeah. So it really, that freedom of movement has really something honed down on. Yeah. So
fantastic. Oh, I just love it that you are doing such great things. It's just, you're just taking it and rolling with it. Like that's what we need to do. Lucia, have you had a particular loss during this time?
Yes, I had a lot of losses actually in the beginning. The building that I work in closed temporarily, right? And So we were just kind of waiting to see what was going to happen there. Since I do a combination of online and in person, I had to stop doing the in person altogether, right? And there was some months in December and November that we were on shutdown again, and again I was not able to see any in-person clients during those timeframes. And for me, that was really challenging because since I am a very hands-on person, I do a lot of hands-on healing work. Um, it had been many years that I had not done this before. And so the amount of clientele that I'm usually working on energetically hands-on is something that's very much needed for others, but at the same time, it's used for me as I guess I heal as well. So when I heal others, I'm healing myself, right? And so having that part of it, any kind of touch taken was something very hard for me. And I believe that's, it definitely created a lot of anxiety in the very beginning when COVID hit. And so, I have 6 kids, and out of the 6 kids, 5 of them are at home. So they were all online. And my home is small, right? And so there's not a whole lot of privacy. There's not a whole lot of space. and so that having to work with all those energies, and everybody holds their own, they have their own issues. They're working on their own health and their own conditions. And so it became a challenge in the beginning to, address a lot of the things that were going on. But, over time, we adjust as humans, right? We adjust to our environment. So there's definitely a lot of good things that come out of it.
Fantastic. I love it. And, and talking about all of these things that we've lost or we feel like are a loss, but also bringing you back to that centered balance, like we were saying earlier, the centered balance. Like there are things that you feel like you've lost, but there are also things that you've gained. And it sounds like from each of you that you found these strengths that you didn't really know that were going to happen, right? Like you had all of these terrible things going on, but look where you are right now. You rolled it into something amazing. And now you're sitting like the cherry on top that you are. So I think that's a very important piece to this is, yeah, COVID sucks and it continues to suck. We've learned a lot. We've lost a lot. We've gained a lot. So now where does that bring us back to, Sunshine? Tell me about the balance that it brings us to.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, that we have this universal grief that we're all going through. And I think that's a really big challenge, right? And also just trust, right? Because we didn't know who to believe. And so I think a lot of people lost trust in each other, in the government, and society as a whole. Like it was like just terrifying to watch how they were treating some people in other countries. And so, all of that can take away from your sexuality because you feel this universal energy and mistrust, right? And so I think some things that we gained from that was anger. And I don't think everyone sees that as a positive, but people were pissed. and and that is so important. I think for your growth, like to feel into the anger, because everyone's usually afraid to feel into the anger. Mm-hmm. And so when we really felt into it, that starts to produce a change. Because you're like, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Right? And I love that. So what did that do? That showed me my power. Mm-hmm. And so I thought I was strong before, but now I know that I'm strong. Mm-hmm. And there's no stopping me, right? And I'm just like, I am coming for you and you. And if you don't like it, go behind me, right? Like, I'm not going to take this shit anymore. And so I think a lot of people found their power. I also think a lot of people gain family time. You know, the kids were home. Like, why are you still home? No, I'm joking. But
No, I'm not joking. Listen, if they don't go back to in-person school next year, I want to not have, like, I'm done. But I don't have 6 kids like Lucia or 5 like you do. I just have one.
We really had to go, oh, like, I see you. And maybe we didn't really pay this terrible to say, but you know, they go to school and you don't pay as close attention. But now they're home with you and you're like, okay, I want you to know that I see you. I want you to know that I also understand that you are going through this too. I also am sorry that you can't see your friends. I am also sorry that you have to do your homework on the damn computer. But it's okay. Like, we're going to get through this together as a family. So I think a lot of things that people gained was that anger, that voice, because I think that voice was kind of like strangled for a long time. So I think it gave people an outlet, a voice, their power, and then time with their families if they had one.
Mm-hmm. You know, like what we say in Tantra is that to push through the pain of things, like once you recognize that there is a problem, it's figuring out how to deal with it and pushing through that hard part. Because when we can become complacent in our lives, just like you were saying, we really do send our kids off to school. I'll see you later. Tell me about it when you get home if something important happens. Otherwise, I don't know if you're learning French, Japanese, English. I don't care. Just long as somebody's teaching you and you're making good grades, because I don't want to micromanage any more than I already do. Right. And we become that complacent parent or lover or friend that just says, you know, it'll be fine. We'll talk about it later. But then later never comes, right? And then we're stuck. So I think it's extremely important what you were saying is that building of the confidence between people as lovers, family members, friends, as a client, even, you know, when you're looking for a client who's bored because it's a pandemic, how interested in what you're teaching them are they going to be? That's a huge, big factor in their, you know, their ability to receive what it is that you're teaching. So I think it's pretty fantastic that we can come together and talk about these, and you can bring up things like, it's very fine and well to get angry about shit, because that's when shit gets done. Because there is that thought in your mind that, well, really, I can just let it wait. I'll let it wait. I'll let it wait. And then again, that time never comes. You've let it wait. And now it's old and crusty. Nobody wants it anymore. So moving on. How do we create that balance, Sunshine? I'm going back to you again. How do you create the balance that you need?
That's an excellent question. No,
I've been asking it for like a half hour.
I know.
Answer my damn question, Sunshine.
I feel like I'm gonna pass the mic over to Sequita, Sorcia, Lucia, and let us tell me how to get some balance in here.
She acts like this is her show. Just so you know, any of you all, if you've had issues, let's go with you, Lucia, because I know you just talked about how you really do balance all of the family, all of the kids, all of the life. Do you have a boyfriend, Lucia? I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot. Do you have a guy or a girl that you're hanging out with, or how the hell do you have private time when you got that many damn kids? That's what I'm going after.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I don't have a boyfriend. And you know, so I have my kids at home, except for the one. She's in Venice. And so I do have my office. And so my office has 3 rooms. So one of the rooms is my room.
Right. Okay.
It's my room for me time. You know, and so that's pretty much, if I didn't have that, I'd probably be I would have lost my mind. Yes. Because at home, the privacy does not exist.
Right.
All the attention goes to the kids, specifically my 7-year-old. So one of the things that I've put a lot of more focus on and attention has been the use of nonviolent communication.
Perfect.
And so really having a lot more patience, and because there was a lot of energies in the home in the beginning. Everybody, was just really just all over the place. And it was something I really wasn't used to, having all the kids at home. And so learning, and everybody has their own personality, right? So it's learning how to communicate in a way that kind of matches their personality and what I know what my kids, are going to, how they're going to respond. And so it comes down to my tone of voice, right? Yes. Choosing my words wisely, right? And being more compassionate about overall, I guess, my approach. And so, just learning how. So, for example, my son is in charge of taking out the trash and the cardboard, and he also is working on his mental health, and so he's kind of all up and down. And so instead of where it used to be a certain time that he had to take the trash and garbage out, being a little bit more flexible in approaching that and saying, hey, I know that you might be having a bad day today. That's okay. I'm sorry you're not feeling well. And letting him know that that the garbage can be taken out in the evening or even in the morning. And so just trying to come to just a different understanding of, okay, it doesn't have to get done at the specific time. There are no consequences, for that, and just rephrasing it. And even asking what would be a good time for you to take the trash out, and so just learning how to rephrase what I'm wanting him to get done versus yelling and screaming, and it not getting done. There have been times where everybody in the household is just at it. There's just too much. It's too much. So then I, for example, went and did the dishes that day, just because, if I'm able to do so, I'm at home now, then I can try and help where I can. Right. A lot of times it's my 7-year-old that needs a lot of the attention with the one-on-one with the school. So setting up a time, and a space in the household, including sometimes outside in our backyard, of where people can have, their free time. But definitely practicing, a lot of errors, right? A lot of mistakes there. But when you practice and you practice over and over again, then it starts to make sense. It starts to come naturally. And it definitely has helped, it has helped on, especially when there's been a lot of negativity. So, cleansing our home, right? Every once in a while. I connected with Saoirse here, and just she gave me some really helpful tips and reminders of, to bring all of this goodness from our practice, from authentic Tantra, which is, meditation and, connection, and these practices that we learn into the home, because I was doing it before a lot in my own office and not in the home. And so taking that into consideration and then starting to talk about it more in the home and allowing that to feel, and that energy feel inside of my home, and then really start focusing on my self-care. Because one of the things that I was avoiding for a very, very long time is my self-care, and I was taking my self-care more like I don't need to self-care because I've got my needs have to go here to all of my other kids, right? And so I don't need to take care of myself. But it comes down to that I did need to take care of myself, right? And I do need to continue to take care of myself, because if I am the hub of my family and I focus on myself, my well-being and my healing, then now that positive juiciness is going to start showing up in my household.
Factual.
So,
Factual. Absolutely.
You know,
Yep.
those are some of the things that I have been addressing.
Man, okay, you got me. You're the acrobat of the day. That's right. She can swing from one handle to the other, back and forth. This girl has more talents than you could ever imagine. But okay, so going on and moving further, how once we have our things settled, like you're balancing act phenom, that's what you are. Okay, so I'm going to shoot this one at you, Saoirse, because you're in the middle of this breakup, right? You're in the middle of trying to figure out how do you regain confidence in yourself and as yourself as a partner, or even with a new partner. How are you dealing with that? How's that working?
Again, good question. How is that work? You know, I'm really lucky in the context of that we still really love each other. We just realized that this wasn't working. So I'm not in a dangerous situation. I'm not in a hateful situation. It was just a fuck, this is not working for either of us. We're not getting what we need met. And it was the pandemic, and it was my practices that made me really aware of this just isn't working. And to come, for me, it was a lot of grief work. It was a lot of recognizing it's okay to be angry. I love anger. It's my favorite emotion, a little bit too much sometimes. So it was okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It was okay to be happy. It was okay to just be whatever came up. I mean, that's what Tantra is. It's whatever arises is what we work with.
Right.
And then we allow that to be woven into our life and create what we want to forward. So it was a lot of practices. And then when it was also, for me, it was really learning to find where I'm the center, right? To find my center in this journey. So that's still a process. It's going to be an ongoing process forever of where I am. You know, we have a lot of things to identify and release and not let, you know, and bring in and welcome. And I'm getting older. I have not ventured, well, thanks to COVID, I can use that as an excuse not to venture and meet any new human beings for that, because I am so not ready to date any. This is a horrible thing to say, but it is how I feel right now, and I'm sure it'll change. I am a cisgendered white woman. And honestly, what's out in Vancouver area for me is not exciting. And I often wish I was gay because I love women better. And so I'm not excited about going out and dating and finding a new partner at this particular junction, because I find me way more interesting. And I really enjoy my company, and we have sexual practices. So the idea of getting naked with another human being who has no idea what my body's like is just not exciting right now. Yeah. Maybe if Ryan Reynolds showed up, I might consider it.
He shows up, I'm crossing that border quick.
Well, he is filming in Vancouver right now, but respect to his beautiful wives. And right. I'm also a plus size woman, so I doubt it would happen, but that's
Stop
okay.
It right now. Stop it right now.
Right. Oh, I love what I look like. I'm no fun. I'm happy with my juicy little curves. It's just
the thicker the roll, the juicer it is. Okay.
True. So, yeah. So that's my journey of, you know, it's been, again, I'm really lucky. We still live in the same house. We're still really good friends. I still have that contact. It's just, it's grown in a different way, which is lovely in that unfolding. And that's, again, the maturity that you get from these practices. If I didn't have these practices, I don't think I would have handled it as mature.
Agreed.
And, you know, letting things unfold has been really a difficult and awesome journey. So.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thanks for that. So let's move on. Sequita, I want to talk to you about the importance of touch when you haven't had any but your own for a little bit. And it's not because you haven't been with a partner, but in the past, I know that I can say this to you. Same with me. There have been times when you just don't want anybody to touch you because of whatever reason, you just aren't feeling it. You don't feel the relationship. You're not into it. And then something happens and all of a sudden, oh, I want to be touched right now. And how do I figure out how do I ask somebody to come and touch me? Or what ways can I substitute the touch of another lover, or the touch of a friend or family member, or what have you? How can we make that more important again once we haven't had it?
Wow.
I know, it's such a great question.
Good question. That is tough.
You can also pass to Sunshine because she likes to do that too.
Well, yeah, because yeah, here's the deal. Touch is my primary love language. So I want to be touched by anybody that will like stroke my arm, caress my neck, give me a hug, hold my hand. I am kinetic, that's my thing. So I cannot tell you that I have ever felt like don't touch me unless they're creepy, then don't touch me. Mm-hmm. But people in my little sphere of influence, my little circle of my little hula hoop, no, that's my language. So I'm going to ask somebody, I have friends that are professional cuddlers, and so I can say, hey, I just need a cuddle. There's ways to touch myself. The best way I touch myself aside from masturbation is in the bathtub, mm-hmm. where I can just, feel myself, touch myself. I kiss myself, it's like I hold myself. I mean, that's how I can do it for myself. Now, if I'm feeling like I really need to, I can be very sad when I don't get touched. So I know that's how I get fed. Yeah. I know that's how my endorphins rise, that's the oxytocin and all that stuff. So I just need to be touched. So I'm not the one.
No, it's okay. It's not good.
Yeah, someone else that says, like, yeah. Don't touch me. I can't relate.
One of my things that I do for myself, and I started doing this about 3 years ago in the mornings when I wake up, because I have some issues. I'm sore. My shit hurts all the time. I'm getting older. I think that I've done some really terrible things to my body in the past. But anyway, what I do is I give myself a little, like I sit up on the side of the bed and I start at my scalp and I will massage down my neck, into my arms, down my stomach, onto my legs, down to my feet, because I am just that important in the morning. I am the most important thing in the morning when I wake up. And I never thought about that. My moment that I would wake up, years ago was, shit, I got to feed the kids. Oh my God, I got to get up and go to work. I got to do this. I have to do that. Laundry's piling up. Oh my gosh, life, blah, 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 boring. Yeah. And it was that moment that I decided I'm going to touch myself to feel better. I was like, it's game changer.
Yeah. And I would suggest that because also by saying I love myself, I love me, I love, just saying I love myself, I love you, Sequita, it just it also raises the hormone level, that makes me feel good. So that when I do hit the ground running, it's like I already know I've checked in with myself and loved myself.
Right. That oxytocin gets flowing.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a little oxytocin. Sunshine, do you touch yourself? For all the listeners out there that have heard Sunshine in the past on some of my shows, this girl, you can't drag her ass out of a bathtub. No, she will fight you over that. Sunshine, what do you do in the mornings?
Yeah, so this is a really good question. And I really missed touch, right? COVID was hard for me. And I'm a mom and I had to make sure that my kids were safe and I had to hustle and I had to make sure that we had food to eat because there was no money coming in, right? Because I just lost all my fucking income. And so I think the big thing first was just the adaptability, right? Like being able to go, okay, this is what's happening. And I'm going to fucking be a boss about it. And I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure my family's okay. So that was something that was really big for me. And then, but the touch aspects now, I decided to go ahead and go face on with being lonely. And so I think, being lonely is so scary to so many people, right? And I think it's because part of it is because we think nobody loves us. And so I just fucking took it on. Like, hey, right now I'm lonely. And how does that make me feel? And so there was a lot of days where I just cried, right? Because I was like, fuck, dude, like, is this the life? And so what came out of that was this beautiful self-awareness that I am truly in love with myself. Does that sound terrible? That does. And I was like, you're not lonely. You are always held by your ancestry, by your family, by the hands that just prop you up into this society, right? And so I really had to tap into more like my spirituality. And I had to tell my mind to shut up. And I had to find peace, even when there wasn't peace. And so the touch aspects, I will imagine that I am being held by 300 hands. And they're holding me in my bed at night, right? And I have a very good imagination. So, and I will imagine these arms just surrounding me and embracing me and telling me that I'm okay. And that feels really good and safe for me. And that is enough to move me forward. Now, I also do very intense self-pleasure sessions. However, I did not do that in the beginning of COVID because I had to move my family across the country. So for people to really do like a self-pleasure, they need to feel safe first off. And if you're not in a safe mood, you're not going to be like touching your genitals. I mean, maybe you will, but usually you're like, I gotta eat, right? But then the touch came back slowly. And so I think we also need to recognize, like, maybe you want to touch from a lover, but in my house, my kids were here. And so learning to accept the love that is surrounding you. And I think a lot of people become blind to that because we want, and we don't see the fucking love that's right in front of us. We're so blind to that. And so I was just like, hey kids, hold me. And they are so loving. And I still miss like a lover. Yeah, I still miss that. I get it, but I don't actually need one right now. So hey, don't play. Okay. That's how I feel about that.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you, Sunshine. And just so you know, again, I did move across the United States so that my friend Sunshine could hold me and touch me. Because by the way, also,
okay, I didn't plan COVID.
no, yeah, okay. So she was a licensed massage therapist here in the state of Washington, and my entire lifetime that I've known her is every time she's giving me a massage, it just makes me so happy in my heart. I'm not going to lie, because we connect on a different level. So you want to talk about missing an important touch. I missed that, but now I have the capability to fly and get it whenever I need it. But I have substituted that for my daily conversations of foolishness, the which I call Sunshine all the time. And it's cool. But bringing all of these things, the importance of touch, the importance of partnerships, balance, all of the things that we've learned in this past year, we're rolling up into this amazing buffet of love and touch and sexuality, dare I say, in Gourmet Sex, which was, and for the most part, is a big brainchild of yours, Sunshine. Tell us, how in this past year did you ever come up with more goodness for Gourmet Sex?
It's so needed right now. It's so needed because we're all still going through massive amounts of change. And when we can start to depend on ourselves for our own like fire and fuel, and trust our sexuality and trust our decision makings and trust our intuition and our power, like we can achieve really great things. And so Gourmet Sex is a way for people to just go and try out something different and to learn and get an introduction into what Tantra is. And then that way they can start to reconnect. Because how do we start to reconnect when all the connections have been taken away? And now we're all looking at each other on a screen. And it's been so nice lately to see like families reuniting and friends getting together and like just the happiness on people's faces. But people are still afraid. You know, it's okay to go with your family, but is it okay to go, si, senor? Because I like him. No, you know, and so this is a really good way for people to really tap into, because they did lose a lot and they are trying to find balance. And that is what we do in Tantra. We go ahead and we lay everything out on the table and display, and we go, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I want to create. Or maybe we don't know what we want to create, but we know that inside of us is greatness and we want to get that out. And so we have made this amazing menu for everyone to come and start to nibble and taste all these new flavors and see if this is the world that they want to create. And I'll let anyone add if they want to.
Go ahead, girls. Add. This is my show. Talk. No. Hey, Sequita, why are you helping with gourmet sex?
Oh, wow. Okay. So when Sunshine brought this up, and I would jumped at it because I thought, what a way for us to introduce authentic Tantra and sex education to the whole world. And so I like the topic. My niche right now is Tantra and menopause, because I happen to have a plethora of women in my world who are experiencing some phase of menopause, who are baffled and befuddled by it. And I simply take what I've learned through my practice in Tantra, through exploration and research, put it all in this little package and serve it up on a platter of like, you can still be juicy, you can still be sexy, you can still have pleasure and overcome some things that happen, during these phases of menopause, like dryness and vaginal pain and penetrative sex, being painful and loss of libido, all the things that people are talking about during COVID. Menopausal women are going, I've been dealing with that for a while now. How do we get past that? And so that's my, one of the things I'm serving up, as well as aftercare, taking care of yourself, aftercare if you've had a tantric date with yourself, and how to just like serve yourself juiciness and pleasure, as far as like something to drink, something to eat, a sacred space. And you're with a partner, doing the same thing, aftercare, what do you need, rather than just, having a date, having sex, going to sleep. It's like taking that time to check in with each other. How are you? How are you feeling? What did you experience? This is what I experienced. That whole aftercare is so important. So that's what I'm offering for Gourmet Sex, is just, lots of juicy information and how to have pleasure in our lives and have fun.
We love the juice around here. We love the juice. Lucia, speaking of juicy, Lucia and her videos on sexual pleasure make me crazy in my heart. So Lucia, talk to me, girl, about what's going on for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I will be teaching 2 classes actually, and I'm doing, one of them is the oral awareness, which
Woo!
I really enjoy educating about the oral awareness, because it's just something that I absolutely love to do, for one. And to spur the awareness, because there's so much you can explore in that whole area, and that I truly don't believe that everybody knows and understands that we can actually do, right? And so knowing our anatomy, knowing where the pleasure zones are located at and why, and learning about sexual communication, right? How do we communicate with our partners about what our desires are, what our wants, what our needs are? And another one that I am going to be teaching is how do we awaken our pleasure after trauma, right? And I really like teaching that because I have definitely experienced a lot of trauma in my past, and a huge part of my pleasure in my sexual pleasure was the numbness that was occurring, and not being able to fully feel in my pleasure zones because of previous traumas. And I truly believe that a lot of the there's a huge disconnection in society as a whole, where these things that happen like addiction and drugs and violence and all these things are going on, and there's not so much attention put on the mental health, right? And so I come from a lineage of generational trauma. And one of the ways that I am working on to break that cycle is to work on myself, right? Work on myself individually as a person, and as well as having my own children work on themselves, because everybody in my generation has experienced some kind of trauma, and so we together have been focusing on our mental health, and this is part of it. This retreat is part of what you're going through and what you should be really like deepening within your side, inside of yourself, right? It's what needs to kind of take place in order to move forward.
Oh, you're just the most lovely, Lucia. I appreciate you so much. I really do. You're just the greatest. Thank you for that. Let's move to Saoirse. Saoirse, what are you going to be serving up in the gourmet sex?
Well, I'm really excited. Well, I'm always excited to do this with you guys because I enjoy being around a whole bunch of people talking about shit that I love. So that's always a good journey. And it's nice because it's such an open collective, right? Like we really do hold such a beautiful space for people who are curious, who are scared, who are totally open, and to sort of be in a safe space to talk about stuff that we all play with, we all want to deal with, but we have a lot of stuff that goes on in our culture and in our societies that kind of put up roadblocks or weird story tales and things like that. But for me, the big journey for this year for myself is I've been really diving into my womanhood. So I've lived fairly masculine, or in that hard, go do it kind of thing. And COVID really brought an awareness of how to live in my body and my cyclical wisdom, and specifically working with my menstrual cycle. So I'm really excited to sort of share with people who have a female body, people who live with female bodies, who want to identify female, how Tantra and cyclical wisdom is so important, and when to practice, how to practice, if you want to practice, just fucking listen to your body kind of thing. And for me, that's where a lot of disconnect happened, is a complete shutdown of this huge, delicious space of our womb that we've been completely disconnected from, and understanding just how powerful and wise, and to be allowed to live in the world in that nature just blows my mind for what it can create for us. And then weaving in the Tantra with that has just been sort of mind-bogglingly wonderful for myself. And I'm excited to really sort of share that wisdom and sort of run into the world and scream at everybody, but please mind your bleed. Please understand how powerful that space between your legs is. It's not just for a dick, it's for you, whether it's a plastic or not. I love them too, but it's so much more than that. It's really where our inner goddess lives, is in that space. And so to connect to that divinity has been just so profoundly powerful for me. So I'm excited to share that. And then my other delicious part, because because of diving into that cyclical wisdom and reconnecting with an artist of myself that I had as a child, she's being rebirthed, and I love it, is also bringing in mandala art. So my favorite part of Tantra has been the meditations. That's where I am home. So the sexual practices I love, but home is the meditations for me. So to bring the meditations and then bring in the art aspect of it is another part that I'm excited to sort of share, just to broaden the perspective. Because a lot of people, when they hear the word Tantra, they actually think of Kama Sutra, which is a whole lot of fucking, which wonderful, love it, do it, totally on board. But again, Tantra is that all of the colors of life. So all of that spectrums are out there. So I like to introduce people to the other aspects of Tantra. That's where I'm comfortable and home. And then we can talk about sex, because I do love that topic quite a bit too. So yeah, anyways, that's what I'm excited to share with everyone. So yeah.
And that's exactly what we're going to do during Gourmet Sex, a Taste of Tantra. Part 2. We're going to do part 2. Sunshine, I'm going to pick on you again, like I always do, because this is your baby, Sunshine. Sunshine's Maya birthing of Gourmet Sex.
But really quickly,
Sure.
I want to ask you, Polly, what are you offering? Because you also are presenting during Gourmet Sex.
I am. You know, something that is always really interesting to me, obviously, is healthcare, and because that's who I am. I'm healthcare Pollyanna on some days, and I am going to be teaching about health at every size. Basically, that's what I'm going to be doing. So, you know, as we are all women here on this panel, there are also men out there that can also feel what we're feeling when we say, "Ugh, I just don't feel my very best. I've gained a little weight during the pandemic. I'm just not. I don't feel like I'm eating right. I don't feel like I'm drinking right. I just like things just don't feel good." And nobody feels sexy when they're feeling yucky inside, right? Like Sequita has her self-care, and you know, Sunshine's going to talk all kinds of goodness up in there. And again, you can't get that girl out of a bathtub. When you see what Lucia's got going with the oral sex thing, I swear to you right now, I almost fainted every time I see it. I just love it. It turns me like 6 ways a Sunday turned. And then to have Saoirse's also her art in life. These are all things that I incorporate into my everyday healthcare stuff that I teach people on a daily basis. And so I'm going to bring a little bit of that to Tantra. And also I'm going to be setting the table, as I do in the beginning of Gourmet Sex. I love to set the table. I like to set the tone. I like to make sure that you know what you're getting into, and what you are getting into might be the most delectable and delicious dinner you ever had. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'll be talking about during Gourmet Sex. Sunshine, would you like to add anything else?
Yeah, so if you want to sign up for Gourmet Sex, you can go to sunshineryan.com/gourmet sex. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Sunshine Ryan Tantra. And I just want you to know that there is going to be an introduction class. There's also going to be a yoga class, a movement class, right? An erotic flow class. There's going to be what I love about the dick class, right? Like, so there's going to be a little bit of everything. There's going to be what a woman wants, what a man wants. There's going to be talks about orgasms. There's going to be talk about how to heal racial trauma using your sexuality. Also, just healing trauma. How are you going to heal from COVID? How are we going to heal from all of this? We just all went through a traumatic event together. And so all of this is going to be talked about at this retreat. And also a class taught by Vane for karma's sake, right? So there is men that are going to be at this retreat. It's not just women. And we all come together so that you can not only sample Tantra, but you can also get a really good understanding of how many different teachers there are. And then it's a really good way for you to be like, oh, I really like this person. I want to learn more from them. And I think that's about it. I feel complete.
Oh, fantastic. She's doing it. So there are a few things that I want to remind everybody on here. First off, if you are listening on a podcast, by all means, go to the social media section of my website, buriedpleasures.com/podcasts. It will have all the information for all of the wonderful people that are here today. And remember, you can find all of them through that, and there are other links. So I want you to pay attention. Anything else anybody wants to add before I take us out of here? Actually, if you could, please each individually do your social media shout outs. We'll start with Sequita. Sequita, tell us where you are and where they can find you.
Oh, goodness. Thank you so much. I'm at simplytantra.com on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. And Lucia, how about you?
Yeah, my website is embodied elements with a -WP.com. And you can also just simply Google my name, Lucia Vasquez, and all the social media will pop up.
Fantastic. How about you, Saoirse?
I'm at asaditantra.com, and on Instagram, I am Saoirse Shadavari. So hunt me out.
Saoirse, spell it.
Shadavari.
Yeah, spell Saoirse. Shadavari is okay.
Okay, you got that one? So like the actress, Saoirse. Yeah. Okay. So not like what it sounds like at all. It's Irish. We fuck with you. That's our job.
True story, bro. Anyway, So if you are looking for me, PollyAnnamazing, you can find me on Twitter as Buried Pleasures. You can also find me as PollyAnnamazing on Facebook, Instagram, and on Clubhouse. Also, please join us on Clubhouse. If you haven't had a chance or opportunity and you don't even know what Clubhouse is, reach out to somebody who does. Reach out to me. I'll help you. I want people to listen to what we're saying because I think it's valuable information. Also, you can also contact me, buriedpleasures.com. You have information there. And again, we are part of Just Some Podcast Media family, those lovely boys from Just Some Podcast for Advanced Practitioners, and my friend Nurse Papa. I love you guys so much. Thank you. And for the lovely ladies here, freaking thank you for being here. I love you. I love it that we can come together and do some really cool things together. So if you all would, please unmute your mics because we're going to do something new and fun that I haven't done on Buried Pleasures prior to this day. So jump on, unmute. Is everybody unmuted?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody, on the count of 3, we're going to say gourmet sex. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Gourmet sex. That's right. And I hope that you guys have the time to join us. Again, you can find us at sunshineryan.com/gourmet sex. Thank you, girls, ladies, beautiful people. I love you, family. And everybody out there, have a great night. Bye.
Just Some Podcast Media.